Yo, it's been a while since I've made a new JoJo video, and I've been meaning to for a minute, so now that we're finally here, I figured I should try to make it fun. So we're going to be revisiting the first and final words spoken by every single member of the Joestar family, as well as my favorite lines of theirs. Obviously, my favorites are going to be based off my own opinion, so if you disagree, or you just want to talk about your favorite JoJo quotes in general, just leave a comment and we can discuss there. But anyway, let's get on with the video. Starting off with the patriarch himself and head of the Joestar estate, George Joestar. When we first see him, he is on life support after his family's carriage crashes, and he mistakes Dario's trying to rob him for Dario trying to help him. With his first line, he expresses gratitude to Dario and then concern for the well-being of his family, saying, You're taking care of me? Thank you.
My wife and son, tell me, do they live?
And his last words, his dying words, after he saves Jonathan from being stabbed by Dio are, Jojo, it is not bad to die in the arms of your son.
Don't look so sad, Jojo. We're better to die than in the arms of my son.
George isn't around for long, and this might be a weird pick, but my favorite line of his comes in the flashback when the police are questioning him and Dario about George's ring. This is yours, Mr. Brando. I might have done the same thing if I was born into poverty.
Sell this ring, if you may ease your family's burden by it. Walk an honest path henceforth, and I give it gladly.
JoJo's is a celebration of the goodness of humanity, and this line from George is a great show of this theme at work. He could be a rich asshole, but instead, George shows genuine compassion that doesn't seem like it comes from a place of reluctance due to him technically owing Dario his life. It's just a shame that his kindness is taken advantage of. Next, we would have Mary Joestar, but she has no lines. All that we really know about her is that she dies protecting Jonathan in the carriage crash. Now we have our very first JoJo. Jonathan's first lines are different in the anime and the manga because the show adds in scenes to the beginning of Phantom Blood that compare the childhoods of Dio and Jonathan. In the anime, it's,
Father, I'm off!
But in the manga, it's, give her back the doll. Just like with his first line in the manga, his last is dedicated to Erina as well. In the beginning, he's defending her honor as a gentleman, and with his dying breath, he says a heartbreaking goodbye to her as the love of his life. Be happy, Erina.
Farewell to you, my beloved.
My favorite line of Jonathan's has to be, guess who survived his time in hell? Dio. This is just such a bar, man. I don't even know what to tell you. Erina's first line happens in the same scene as Jonathan's in the manga. She's just begging her bullies to give her a doll back, saying, please give her back, you'll break her arm. Who would have thought that we'd see a much older version of her in part 2 as the second JoJo's grandmother? Her last line comes at Joseph's funeral when he pops back up, surprising everyone there. They all say, Jojo!
No! You're telling me JoJo's alive?
I think she kind of got shafted here considering she was carried over from part 1. Not that there's anything wrong with this scene, but I feel like she could have had final words that were a bit more meaningful. Maybe referencing Jonathan, or saying anything else at all really. Without question though, her best line is in the scene early in Battle Tendency, when she tells Joseph to beat the racist mobsters' asses for disrespecting Smokey. Each of us have our own manners, but I can't forgive the disrespect of my friends.
Be mindful of the other guests now, but teach him a lesson.
How can you not love a woman who supports violence against racists? Before Dio is adopted into the Joestar family, he has a horrible upbringing from his father, who we learn later that Dio slowly kills. In his first scene, he is reluctantly tending to Dario. What is it, old man? Do you need medicine?
What do you want, father? Medicine?
Out of all of the bad things that Dio has done, I don't think killing Dario is one that you can be mad at him for. Dario sucks. He is the reason why Dio is the way he is. Dio's last words are some of his most iconic. As he's dying a satisfyingly brutal death at the hands of an angry teenager, he says, I also picked this as my favorite line of his because it just perfectly sums up his character. Dio sees himself as a god among men and believes himself to be better than everyone else. He feels this way even before becoming a vampire and getting his stand. Just the idea of anyone getting the best of him, especially defeating him, is unthinkable. It would be so sick if we actually got any lines from George II. He does make a few appearances in part 2 and some flashbacks, but we never get to hear him say anything. I know that the George Joestar light novel exists, but the last time I checked, it isn't considered canon. We can talk about his wife though. Originally appearing in part 1 as the baby Erina saves from the ship as it burns, Lisa's first line comes in part 2 when she sees Caesar again and meets Joseph for the first time. In the manga, she says, "Big guy on the left, I don't like your face. I'm gonna have to hurt you." This is so funny to me because the very first thing Joseph's mother says to him is basically, "Boy, I'll whoop your ass." In the anime, this line is skipped because Caesar would realistically recognize Lisa's voice. So instead, it's swapped with,
At least he can control his hormone well enough to stand on water. That's a start.
Lisa suffers the same issue that Erina does for me. Her last line,
Jojo,
is a little underwhelming, but without a doubt, her best is,
you're really not impressing me. I refuse to waste my time listening to your weak flirtations and shallow threats. But if you want to hold me, go ahead and give it a try. I guarantee it'll be the last thing that you do.
Okay, now here is where the Joestar family tree gets weird. We have to talk about the 4 sons that Dio and Jonathan share, starting with the family mafioso, Giorno, whose first scenes are dedicated to him scamming people. In an added scene in the anime, he's giving directions to tourists and says, "Santa Chiara, you say?"
You're gonna want to keep straight. Then at the first signal you...
And in the manga, he simply says, "No problem," after showing off his ear trick to some dudes. Giorno's last line happens after his fight with Diavolo, when the surviving members of Team Bucciarati and Polnareff are discussing what to do with the stand arrow. He says, "That which we have inherited from the departed must be taken onwards. I will not destroy this arrow." It's just slightly different in the anime.
Those who've left us place their wills in our hands. It is our sacred duty to carry it forth. It remains. That's my choice.
Giorno is one of the most poetic characters in the series. He has such an amazing way with words. My pick for his best line might be a little bit controversial because it isn't his speech that he gives to Diavolo before he sends him to the Shadow Realm. It's what he says to Cioccolata before beating his ass for 7 pages straight. Oh, give me a break.
If you really thought I was being serious, then you're the worthless fool. I don't spare pieces of shit.
Next up is Donatello versus. And the scene where he first speaks is also another funny one to me, because in this scene, Pucci asks him to taste his food for shellfish because he's allergic. After tasting the dish, Versus says, "This fish is a whitefish, probably halibut."
It has been paired with this flan, a delectable pudding mixed with asparagus, and mashed up crab meat inside. I detect no shellfish. I detect no shellfish. I detect no shellfish.
Donatello is another character whose last words are completely different between the anime and the manga. In the manga, they're, "I got Jotaro's disc, it's finally mine, I win. Now I'm one step closer to getting whatever the priest is after." As you all know, he gets turned into a snail right after celebrating, and that's it for him. Well, in the anime, he gets one more line where he reacts to being a snail when Jolyne tells him not to run off.
I wouldn't try running away if I were you.
I couldn't even if I tried.
This makes a little bit more sense, but I do prefer how the manga handles it. My pick for his best line might be a little immature, but it's,
Oh shit! Fuck me! They're coming this way!
Rikiel's first scene is of him speaking to Pucci. He says, "Father, I understand that my mission will be protecting you.
But before that, will you please open my eyes? You see one of my eyelids? It keeps on drooping down, and it doesn't go back up."
Rikiel is the best of Dio's son trio in Stone Ocean. Before meeting Pucci, he suffers from constant panic attacks that cause his eyes to droop, and Pucci gives him courage and a purpose. His last line is him revealing one of the biggest twists of Part 5, the fact that Weather and Pucci are brothers.
By the time Father Pucci gets a new star-shaped birthmark on his shoulder, Weather Forecast will have received the same exact birthmark on his shoulder as well. Because he happens to be the priest's biological brother.
And my favorite line of his is,
"If there's any way that I'm going to overcome you, I have to put myself in the same situation so that I can understand where your weaknesses are by feeling the pain that you're feeling. In this way, my heart is like Apollo 11. Jolyne Cujoh, my spirit will surpass yours.
You can't help but feel bad for Rikiel, so it's awesome to see him find his determination, even if it is in opposition to Jolyne. I do wish that he had a chance to swap to the good side, but he never would have done it because out of Dio's children that are in Part 5, he's the only one actually loyal to Pucci who isn't just looking after his own best interests. Ungalo is the last of Dio's known children, and in his first scene, he wakes up from whatever drugs he was using and immediately takes Pucci hostage, saying to the cops,
Alright, listen up! Stay back or the priest gets it!
and his last is, "Shut up and stop mumbling to yourself, kid. What the hell is this book? Let me see that."
Give me that book you're reading. What is this?
My favorite line of his happens a little before this while he's going on a rampage with his stand. "This is satisfaction. I've finally found something that drives me. All I've done up till now is wander around aimlessly, just sinking lower and lower without knowing why. But now I get it."
I've been existing through this living hell for this ability! Fuck drugs, I'll protect that priest with my life! And the best thing that came out of this is my stand bohemian ecstatic. Thanks to this new power, I get to watch the world that's treated me like shit slowly deteriorate as its society falls into chaos and despair!
Again, you can't help but feel bad for the sons of Dio, at least a little bit because of who their dad is. But this guy is crazy as hell. He wants revenge on the world because his life was miserable. And just as soon as he feels like he's finally living, he loses everything again. Sad, but screw him though. Okay, we're finally back to the main side of the family with the second Jojo, Joseph, and his first line comes during the scene where he's defending Smokey from the racist police. He says, I think you have the wrong idea. You see, that wallet was a gift from me to him."
So then, sir, would you please return both wallet and boy?
What'd you just say?
Joseph may be hot-blooded, but there is no questioning if he inherited his sense of justice from his grandfather. And funny enough, Joseph's last line is also dealing with his wallet being stolen. His final words are to Josuke, who swipes his wallet as they're saying goodbye.
Who does that cocky punk think he is?
This is just a fun and lighthearted callback. He may be in his 70s at this point, but there is no need for Joseph's last moments to be him staring at the sunset and saying, "Wow, my life truly was a bizarre adventure, huh, Jotaro?" And my favorite line from Joseph is, "Hey, don't tell my wife about this, okay?" No, in all seriousness, it was kind of difficult for me to pick because of all of the funny stuff he says throughout the 3 parts he's in, but I decided to go with the line of his that really hooked me on JoJo's as a series. Your next line is,
Next you'll say, "You bastard, how could you have possibly known where they were?" You're gonna say, "Did you plan this too, Jojo? Tell me!"
How do you always know?
Joseph's wife, Suzie Q, doesn't say much during the 2 parts that she's in, but in her first and last scenes, she's taking care of 2 of the most important women in Joseph's life, his mother and his daughter.
Signora Lisa, which blouse do you like today?
Holly! How are you sitting up straight all of a sudden?
I don't really have a favorite line from Suzie Q, but if any of you do, by all means, let us know in the comments. Jolyne Cujoh's first lines in the manga and anime are swapped with one another. The manga starts with her reminiscing about Jotaro's childhood, and in it, she says,
Jotaro, throw the ball to Mom! That's it, good boy!
And her first line in the anime is to the cops when she's confirming Jotaro's identity.
Yes, all of that is correct, and Jotaro is definitely my son.
It seems like
Holly's stand sickness is the entire reason the Crusaders go to Egypt to find Dio. And when they finally kill him and destroy his body, she's healed and suddenly wakes up saying, "I just got better all of a sudden. I'm not sure how to put it into words, and I feel them."
It's as if we could read each other's minds. What? Mom, I can feel that they're coming home to us. Holly. Papa and my Jotaro. They're coming home!
I don't really have a favorite line from Holly either, but I do like that she tells us what type of person Jotaro is in her thoughts. She says, "Not a word. You never talk to me about anything. I worry about you so much. I can see right through you. You're really a good boy, deep down." Jotaro really is just trying to look cool, and we even see this a few pages later after she collapses and still offers to cook dinner. Then Jotaro tells her to rest because he's worried about her, but quickly follows that up with don't spread your germs to us, Mom, gosh. He's just being a teenager. Shizuka Joestar from Part 4 is also adopted into the Joestar family, just like her great uncle Dio. Because she's a baby, all she does is make infant noises and laugh.
No, that's not it! What the hell? She's fading out!
Moving on to Joseph's love child, Josuke Higashikata. His first line comes after Jotaro meets his best friend, Koichi. A group of the least effective bullies ever are harassing Josuke for being a freshman while he's messing with a turtle. The bullies ask him what he's doing, and Josuke says, well, this turtle seems like it just woke up from hibernating.
The turtles give me the willies. It takes all my courage to even touch their shells. So I thought today would be a good day to finally conquer my fears.
Does it look like I give a
Josuke's last line in the manga is him saying goodbye to Joseph and stealing his wallet. I'll be keeping this. A proper dad never forgets to give their kid some allowance, right?
Besides, think about what your better half would say if you took that picture home.
Who does that cocky punk think he is?
In the anime, there's a scene that seems like it's added specifically to give Josuke a reason to hit his signature pose at the end of part 4. If you read the manga, the story just ends, and then you flip to the last page and it's Josuke popping his hip with no dialogue. Not that there needs to be a reason for a JoJo character to hit a pose, but it is just mad random. In the anime, he's basically gossiping with Koichi and Okuyasu about Rohan, and when they get ready to leave, he says,
Dumbass. Well, come on, let's bounce.
And for my favorite of his, which is also one of the best quotes in this whole video, Josuke's line during his fight with Enigma, Enigma, you win. Crazy Diamond isn't powerful enough to get me out, but I got one last word of advice for you.
Rip me to oblivion the moment I finish folding, cause if I'm able to make it out of this bullshit trap alive, I'll freaking kill you!
Josuke willingly jumps into a trap for the slight chance of saving Koichi, and this scene just goes so hard. The vocal performance really takes it over the edge too. On to the next character. Jotaro Kujo. His first line is said in the same flashback as Holly's. He says,
nothing's as good as your cooking, Mom.
I'm sure that we all got the same whiplash our first time reading or watching part 3, because the next thing he says right after this is,
shut up! Get out of my face, you bitch!
Araki wanted to make us uncomfortable, and really drive home the fact that Jotaro is supposed to be a punk. Funny enough though, when you think about it, the scene is a little sweet, because Jotaro is just looking out for her safety in his own immature and overly disrespectful way. He truly thinks she would be in danger around him, but he's a hard-headed teenager who doesn't know how to appropriately convey his feelings comfortably without it feeling lame to him.
Stay away from me, or you'll lose what's left of your life.
Being emotionally vulnerable just isn't something Jotaro ever gets a good grasp of, because he does also disappear on Jolyne and his wife without ever explaining why as well. But we do know that he cares for Jolyne more than anything, and his very last word, spoken with his dying breath, is her name. Jolyne. Jotaro is another character who has too many amazing quotes to pick from. There are like 5 alone in his last fight with Dio, but I'm going with, look at you, you're pathetic. I have zero sympathy for your sorry ass, but if I kill you while you're helpless, that'll leave a bad taste in my mouth.
I wonder how long it'll take for you to heal. 3 seconds? 4 maybe? The very moment your legs are healed, Star Platinum's headed your way. To demolish you!
Dog, I'm glad this doesn't bite him in the ass, because this is such a crazy thing to say to a character who has virtually been unstoppable up till this point. While Jolyne's mother remains unnamed in the story, she has a couple hard-hitting lines. In the manga, her first line is in the scene where the cops show up to her house to arrest Jolyne for the hit and run. Out of confusion and concern, she says, Jojo, what's going on? Who are these people, Jojo? Just normal parent stuff. In the anime, her first line is her last line from the manga, and this also happens to be her best. Dear, what kind of man are you?
You're going to Tokyo, right now, with everything your daughter is going through! Can't you at least wait till tomorrow? What kind of father are you? Wait, hello? Hello?
We all know the reason why Jotaro is absent from Jolyne's life, but no amount of potential threats from other stand users naturally being drawn to one another could excuse him going no contact completely. He probably felt it was better to do this than confusing her with a lore dump and constantly giving excuses, but come on, son. Last up, we have the very best JoJo from the original universe, Jolyne Cujoh, the GOAT. In the manga, her first scene is in jail, where she's freaking out because a guard saw her DJing in her cell the night before.
It's all over. I'm finished. Damn that male prison guard. Why do you have to see me? I can't live this down anymore!
I just want to die! Damn it! Damn it!
By the time Jolyne says her final words, she is a completely different person. She goes from being a helpless young adult to a hero who is willing to sacrifice everything for a chance at saving the world. It's one of my favorite character arcs in the whole series. He's getting worn out. I'll hold him off.
Bring it, Father Poochie!
I mean, yeah, she gets cooked here immediately, but after seeing her friends and dad get ran through in seconds, still having the courage to face certain death just to give Emporio the smallest head start is such a badass way to go out. Jolyne is so sick, man, and my favorite line of hers is,
"You don't gotta worry about me. I honestly don't even feel it. Compared to all the shit I've gone through to get to the priest, this is nothing."
Jolyne gets put through the ringer to get to Poochie. It's crazy, but she really isn't kidding here. Being set on fire might actually be one of the most normal things that happens to her. Still, being able to do this in order to get closer to Poochie is so crazy. But I've already said enough about her, and that's actually going to be it for the Joestar family, for now. If this video does well enough, then I'll definitely do more, and then the Steel Ball Run Universe Joestar family will be coming up eventually. Like always, thanks for watching, peace.